Have to have the jingle bells to go along with it this time of year. Everybody's in their Santa hat. Good morning, doctor. How are you?
Good morning, I'm good.
All right. What are we talking about today?
We're talking about the best way to control your blood sugar over the holidays.
No, that's a tough one, isn't it?
Yes, most people just ignore it, so ignorance is bliss sometimes.
Yeah, but it can get you in trouble. So you want to do something anyway.
Yes, because
maybe.
you'd rather not be sick over the holidays and you'd rather feel like you have more energy over the holidays. So that's a good reason to keep your blood sugar controlled. I think everybody just needs to think about it. What did you do last year? What were the mistakes last year? What can you do better this year? So you have to make a plan.
I would think for folks with diabetes, this is a very difficult time of year because around the office, around where you work, around home, even church, or some of those little bowls of little chocolates, especially the little variety ones around here. The Snickers are the first to go, but they're around everywhere.
Yes, food is around everywhere.
Homemade stuff.
Pretty much from Thanksgiving on. So you're going to have to really watch it. You can't eat just whatever you want because it will make your sugar go up. Now, if you eat peanuts or more protein type snacks, that's different. Chocolate covered peanuts are going to be better than just regular chocolates as far as the peanuts giving you a little protein and fat to blunt the effect of the sugar. If you're going to have any kind of sweets, have it after a meal. If you eat the whole meal, then the sugar, it blunts the rise of your blood sugar after the meal. Then you have about an hour before your sugar peaks after the meal. So that first hour, it's always good to walk away from the table, take a walk, maybe for 10 minutes or something, or do something active right after you finish eating so that your sugar won't go up as high. It takes about an hour to absorb all that from the meal.
Okay.
So eat the sweets right after the meal, not by themselves. If you eat them by themselves, they're going to make your sugar go up. Now, you can eat them while you're walking. And I think if you're meeting with family and friends, all those people might be genetically prone to get diabetes. If they don't already have diabetes, it might be good to schedule some kind of activity or walking after meals or do something with everybody else too instead of just sitting around. You can have conversations while you're walking too, rather than sitting at the table and eating while you're talking. It's always better to talk when you don't have food in your mouth anyway.
Yes, that's true. That's true. So conversation, just things that delay it, make things last longer is what you're saying, part of it, right?
Yes. Also, you want to chew very slowly because if you're at a house where people are constantly offering you food, if you still have food on your plate, they're not going to offer you more. The same way with drinks, with alcohol, anything like that. Some people do some type of fizzy water instead of champagne, so they can just sip it through the whole thing and they don't have to drink alcohol. Alcohol does lower your blood sugar a little bit, but then it impairs your judgment and you might eat other stuff. So just slowly chewing things, talking instead of eating, and just making your food on your plate last longer. You want to fill your plate with non-starchy foods, so about half a plate should be some kind of vegetables, salads, things like that, turkey. You can have protein. Protein and vegetables should fill most of your plate. If you want a little bit of dressing or a little bit of mashed potatoes, put that in there, but don't, fill your whole plate with it.
Don't that be the highlight, right? Yeah. I'm a big stuffing fan, so that's a difficult one for me.
Right. Everybody thinks the turkey makes them sleepy, but it's really the stuffing that makes your sugar go up that makes you sleepy after eating.
So I think sometimes people handle the main course okay, but it's when they walk in the door at that Christmas party or that holiday gathering is when they get into trouble, because the first thing is drinks and appetizers and stuff.
Yeah, and I think you should bring things to your parties. Bring things that you can eat. A raw vegetable plate with ranch dressing or some kind of dressing that you can dip in and that you could put it on your plate. Anything that takes a long time to chew up, such as raw vegetables, keeps you from eating too much. And you fill up, and then you'll always have something on your plate.
So don't worry about being the hit of the party. In other words, bring the raw vegetable
I think
plate.
a lot of people are into raw vegetables now. So.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good thing. That's good. But the dips can get you in trouble too, right? Too much.
Yeah, I think the ranch dressing is pretty high in fat, so it's not as bad. And oil and vinegar or any kind of Italian dressing, although you don't usually dip vegetables, and that usually is the ranch. The ranch is fine. You're only going to dip it if you want to put a little bit on your plate rather than dipping the whole vegetable in it and just
Yeah.
Take a
there you
little
go.
bit at a time.
Yeah, scrape it off the plates a little bit less than if you
Right, you'll get
drench
less.
it in
Just have a little dab on each vegetable instead of pouring it over.
All right, so what do you do though if you do see your sugar spike?
Well, you sort of need to prepare for that. If you're on medications that make you make a little more insulin, or if you're on insulin shots, you can pretty much adjust your insulin dose to try to catch up. You should ask your doctor what you should do. Some people only on metformin, though, they don't really have any option to go up on their metformin. So that's when the walking and the activity come in play. Drinking lots of water, delaying eating again for a while until the blood sugar comes down. So your blood sugar will eventually come down. Just drink a lot of water, move around a lot, and that will come down before the next meal. But if you're eating constantly through the day, you don't give it a chance to come down. So you want to wait
Right.
the time
So it's
before
not just
the
the
next
peak
meal.
that you're concerned with.
No, it stays up if you continually eat. So the peak is in an hour, but it may take 4 to 5 hours for it to come down, depending on how high the peak was.
And then it may come down very hard though, right? I mean, you got to be careful about it.
Yeah, it depends on what insulin dose you've taken or what kind of medication you're on. If you're on metformin, it's probably unlikely to drop too bad later, but you always want to be aware of that, especially if you take a lot more insulin. You're thinking you're going to eat more and then you don't, then you may have to eat more later. So you'd rather not eat more because you're just going to gain more weight.
Okay. All right. So, and you've talked, as you mentioned before, about walking, just getting out and getting some exercise after eating.
Yeah, I think 10 minutes of walking after each meal. Everybody was saying, oh, you shouldn't exercise after eating. I don't think walking is really vigorous exercise. You're not going to pull away blood flow
I don't
from
think you're
your
going to be swimming
intestines.
this time of year. So
You're not going to be swimming inside an indoor pool.
Yeah, that's right.
But I think the main thing with not exercising after eating was if you're a marathon runner or somebody that's really exerting a lot of exercise, you really need that blood flow to your muscles so the blood flow doesn't go
Right.
to your intestines to help you absorb your food. But walking, you pretty much can do walking and eating at the same time. In fact, if you're going to eat something sweet, you might as well be walking while you're eating.
Okay.
That
all
would
right.
help a lot.
Yeah, I think the 7-layer cake might be a little tough while you're walking, but some things. We'll have more to come in a moment here with Sugar Talk with Dr. K. Gene Lucas.